This is code.org. Let's see what we're doing. End the game. In the game, when 3 enemies get to the cake and print the score, I will lose so fast. Create a variable that keeps track of how many enemies have gotten to the cake. Interesting. And the reason they're saying that is the score is not reliable, because I could have 1,000,000 points, have 5 enemies get to the cake, and I still want to have a negative number. So we need to track enemies hitting the cake. Use a conditional, never let that scare you, use an if, to check whether an enemy has gotten to the cake. If it has, increase your variable. Use a conditional to check whether the value of your variable has reached 3. All right, so if you don't have that, you need to go back to the lesson, by the way. All right, so I need a variable. It tells us right away. And what is my variable? Keep track of how many enemies have gotten to the cake, or the cow, if you've changed yours up too. So I'm gonna have maybe enemy count, or got count, or success count. Variable, keep track. Enemy count, I'll call it. So how many enemies? And I'll start it with 0. Okay, so this is how many enemies got to the cake. So far is 0. Now, we need to use the counter pattern. Where would we do that, though? Well, we need to know if the enemies reached the cake. So let me go through our code here. Special background, nope, but mine's awesome. Enemy, touch cake. That's probably a good place to start. So if the enemy has touched the cake. All right, well, we already have a variable where we're checking. If enemy 1 is touching the goal, which is what I name my cake, yours might say cake here too. Instead, that's fine. If the enemy is touching the cake, what do we want to do? Well, we're going to need to add to our variable. So not only will we subtract from the score, but I'm going to go ahead and add another equals and do, I called mine enemy count, is going to be equal to enemy count plus 1. So I'm using the counter pattern and I'm saying, hey, whatever enemy count used to be equal to, it's now going to be equal to the old thing plus 1. So enemy count, new value, the old value plus 1. All right, but that's only if enemy 1 is touching. So now I need it, what if enemy 2 touches? Same deal. You might be tempted to pull this out and put this here and be like, okay, well, if the enemy touches cake, no. Because this, it doesn't necessarily mean they touched the cake. We're just checking if they did. Only if they actually touched it do you want to have the enemy count go up. So same thing here. And maybe you called yours hit count or goal count, whatever you want, but my variable is enemy count. So now that I have something that will make it go up, it then asked us to use an if statement, a conditional statement, to check if use a conditional to check whether the value of your variable has reached 3. So somewhere within here then, I need to check in the draw loop, right, where I run all my functions, if the value is 3, and cover the game screen with an end screen that displays the final score. Great. So I know I need to check it. So if, and I'll put this, I'll do this towards the end. We'll check if the game's over. So if, and I need to know if, we can do greater than or equal to, right? Because if enemy count is greater than or equal to 3, well, that's a problem. What do we want to do? We want to display a game over screen. So to do that, I'm going to add a new function instead of putting all that code in here. Oh, I didn't want block mode yet. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the functions, and I'll put mine under my special background and just drop it. I will put a space here just so it's easier to read. There we go. And I'll call this game over. Okay. And so they said make the background black, I believe. Cover the background with an end screen. Oh, we can pick. Okay. Mine will be red. So background red, and then I'm going to have text right here. I'll drag that out. And my text will say game over in all caps. And for text, if you look at it, it will even tell you. So text, X and Y location. So I'm going to start it at like 100X, and then I want to center it, which would be 200. All right, let me check now. Oh, it's not running yet, right? Because we don't have we don't have it running up here. So what I'll do, just for now, I'm going to function call game over right here at the very bottom. So it covers everything up, and so I can test it. Okay, so that's not that big. So let me go back to my function here, and game over. I'm going to go to drawing and text size. And it starts at 12. Let's see what 18. Oh, no. 36. Getting better. I like that. And if you wanted a different color, maybe I do actually, I'll do fill, and I can just put it right over text. Probably not yellow. I have no idea. Maybe yellow. It's gonna look like McDonald's. Perfect. Okay, game over. And then we're supposed to show the score. So for that, I'm gonna go ahead and do text again, and I'll say score. Boom, like this. And where do I want it? I want it a bit under this. So I'll put it at 150 because it draws text from the bottom, from the top left. And then maybe 250, and let's see where this is. Okay, notice though that it does not, oh, this is way too far down. I said 2. Notice though that it doesn't actually show the score yet, and that's because I'm just displaying a string value, right? If you want it to show your variable, I need to do after the quotes, plus, and the word score. Now it will show this string, this characters, plus our actual variable, which is 0 when it starts off. I'm now going to shrink down the text a little bit because I don't like how big it is, and I'll be good to go. So right above it, I'll say 30 maybe. Good enough. Now, the only thing left to do is to make sure the game over screen only shows if the enemy's count is greater than 3. Let me get some points so it works. Ooh, that went slow. So notice though, that means I did get points, but it's not reliant on that. It's reliant on how many of these guys hit the end. So right here in a second, but what's going on here? It's showing my sprite still. That's a problem. Why is it? Because we need this at the bottom of the draw loop, right? So if it draws this last, right? If it runs in the draw loop this section of code last, then the game over screen will cover up everything else. Otherwise, it just draws the sprites right on top of it. So keep in mind, code runs in order. Now this should be the key to happiness. Let me get out of the way and see. 1 hit. 2 hits. Whoa, that guy's fast. Boom. It's gonna actually keep dropping though. Even if it is game over. So what you might want to do is, well, there's a bunch of stuff you could do. I'm just going to set the velocity of my enemies to 0. So inside my game over function, so my score stops moving, I'm going to say sprite velocity x 0, because they are no longer allowed to move. There we are. Now let's see. And now the score should stay steady. Pretty cool. Onward.